Excuse me. Thank you all very, very much for your patience. And I want to start by expressing an enormous thank you, merci, danke, to the people and the government of Switzerland for their incredible generosity. The way in which they have welcomed us and the amount of effort is really extraordinary, and we're very, very grateful to them. And throughout this entire process, certainly over the past week, the people of Switzerland have gone above and beyond in order to facilitate these negotiations, and I don't think anybody could imagine a much more peaceful setting in order to pursue a peaceful path forward. On vous remercie tous en Suisse. I also want to thank the very many other nations that have provided a home for these negotiations over the past couple of years. People forget that. It's been going on that long. And that includes Austria, which was incredibly generous in hosting our delegation in Vienna for a long period of time. Oman, which has not only hosted a number of important meetings, but also played a critical role in getting these talks off the ground in the first place. And then, of course, we say thank you to Turkey, Russia, Kazakhstan, Iraq, and my home country, the United States. I particularly want to thank President Obama. He has been courageous and determined in his pursuit of a diplomatic path. And from the day that he took office, President Obama has been crystal clear that a nuclear-armed Iran would pose a threat to our security and the security of our allies in the region, including Israel. He has been just as clear that the best and most effective way to prevent that threat is through diplomacy. The journey towards a diplomatic solution began years ago. And I can tell you that I've personally been involved for about 4 years, beginning from the time that I was serving in the United States Senate. Others have been on this journey, and some of the others in our team, for even longer than that. But as Foreign Minister Zarif and High Representative Mogherini announced moments ago, today we have reached a critical milestone in that quest. We, our P5+1 EU partners and Iran, have arrived at a consensus on the key parameters of an arrangement that, once implemented, will give the international community confidence that Iran's nuclear program is and will remain exclusively peaceful. And over the coming weeks, with all of the conditions of the 2013 Joint Plan of Action still in effect, from this moment forward, our experts will continue to work hard to build on the parameters that we have arrived at today and finalize a comprehensive deal by the end of June. Now, we have said from the beginning, I think you've heard me say it again and again, that we will not accept just any deal, that we will only accept a good deal. And today I can tell you that the political understanding with details that we have reached is a solid foundation for the good deal that we are seeking. It is the foundation for a deal that will see Iran reduce its stockpile of enriched uranium by 98% for 15 years. It is a deal in which Iran will cut its installed centrifuges by more than 2/3 for 10 years. It is a deal that will increase Iran's breakout time, which was confirmed publicly today to be 2 to 3 months. And that is the time that it would take Iran to speed up its enrichment in order to produce enough fissile material for one potential nuclear weapon. And that will be expanded now under this deal to 1 year from those 2 to 3 months. That is obviously as much as 6 times what it is today and what it has been for the past 3 years. I'd like also to make one more point very, very clear, because it has been misinterpreted and misstated, misrepresented for much of this discussion. There will be no sunset to the deal that we are working to finalize. No sunset, none. The parameters of this agreement will be implemented in phases. Some provisions will be in place for 10 years. Others will be in place for 15 years. Others still will be in place for 25 years. But certain provisions, including many transparency measures, will be in place indefinitely into the future. They will never expire. And the bottom line is that under this arrangement, the international community will have confidence that Iran's nuclear program is exclusively peaceful, providing, of course, that the provisions are adhered to. And if they aren't, we have provisions that empower us to deal with that. Ultimately, the parameters that we have agreed to will do exactly what we set out to do: make certain that all pathways to make enough fissile material for one nuclear weapon have been cut off, including the uranium pathway at Natanz and Fordow, and the plutonium pathway at Iraq, and of course the covert pathway. Now, we, our partners, and Iran have agreed that the only uranium enrichment facility Iran will operate moving forward will be the facility at Natanz. And even that one will undergo dramatic changes. The vast majority of the centrifuges and their infrastructure will be removed. And for at least the next 15 years, the stockpile will remain at 300 kilograms, and any uranium that is enriched at Natanz will be capped at 3.67%, which is a typical level of enrichment for civilian nuclear power, but doesn't even begin to approach.
After hearing from the President, we're now hearing from the Secretary of State, and John Kerry is giving us the nuts and bolts. He's actually getting into the specifics of this framework of a deal that was reached earlier between Iran and those P5+1 partners. The President, speaking shortly after the negotiators in Switzerland announced their understanding on limits, the President said if the framework leads to a final deal, it will make the U.S. and the world safer.